Joining us right now, the captain from the champs, Oakville Blue Devils, Taylor McNamara. Taylor, welcome, my friend.
Thanks, Anthony.
Pleasure's all mine to have you on. Taylor, let's go way back in those cold months of March and April when you guys were training, getting ready for your first year in League1 Ontario. What were you expecting? What did you hear about League1? And what were you as a captain preparing, getting ready to go into League1 Ontario?
We actually didn't really know what the level was going to be or what to expect coming out of PDL. So we were just trying to put together the best team we possibly could. Me and myself, they called me Gramps on the team, so I was more of a leader role on the team this year for sure. So I was just hoping to get a collective group of guys with one mindset to go out and compete for a championship.
Taylor, just before we talk about the championship, the great season, the fans, on and on, let's go back to something you mentioned. You're a leader, you're a veteran, you're a guy that's played a number of games. You've been through ups and downs, that roller coaster ride. How important is it for you, and how important was it for you all season long to talk to some of the youngsters away from the pitch, to help them, to make them understand, about what's going to take place in a semi-pro atmosphere? Maybe a youngster wasn't having the greatest of games. That's your job, I'm sure, as a veteran and a captain, to talk to them. How important was that role for you, and how did you embrace it?
Well, it was very easy for me to embrace it. I'm a teacher by trade. My day job is a high school teacher, so the transition from teaching in a classroom to teaching on the pitch is seamless. Really, it was important. A lot of the younger kids didn't really know what to expect. This is their first year in a semi-professional type situation with aspirations of full pro contracts. So a stepping stone for them, absolutely. But just getting them into the right mindset every game and understanding that it is a long, grueling season and it takes time to get from this level to the next. I just try to enjoy myself as much as possible and help them along the way.
Taylor, talk about, some of the youth coaches still out there, unfortunately, today in Canada and Ontario. In my travels with my two sons throughout the years, came across a lot of screamers and yellers on the sideline and not, really explaining, instructing, and talking to the players like people, like persons, instead of yelling at them. How important is it in today's game, Taylor, that these players are spoken to like men and explained and instructed in what they want as a coach, what they want from them?
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it, really. There is no one correct way of coaching, in my opinion. It's about getting to know your players, about getting to know the people on your team, the members of your team, and what they respond to. Some players really respond to a coach that screams at them, and some completely shut down. So you do have to know your players. You do have to know what makes them tick and what gets them going, because if you are yelling at a kid that doesn't respond well to a screamer, you're not helping anybody.
Taylor, who was instrumental in your life? Who helped get to where you're at in winning that League1 championship and playing some high-stakes games in your career? Who believed in you? Who never gave up on you? Was it a youth coach, a parent, a sibling? Who stuck by you through thick and thin?
Well, I had the advantage or disadvantage, again, depending how you look at it, of having my father being my role model when it came to my soccer. My father played professional soccer and knew what it took to get to the next level, and he was pretty much my coach all the way through. So he was definitely my number one inspiration and drive to get to the next level. Can't say enough about both my parents and getting me to and from practices. I've had excellent coaches, Giulio Matacchioni, Vince Iannati, Lou DiLorenzo, university coaches down in the States, and I mean, I could talk all day about Duncan, Billy, and Brett, the coaches of the Oakville Blue Devil and the Toronto Lynx organization. I would not be here having this conversation with you today if it was not for all those people.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned your parents, Taylor, because you know what? They probably missed a lot of extra shifts of work. They filled up that gas tank. They missed a lot of meals, a lot of family events to make sure that you were at practices and games, and I'm sure that they had a smile on their face witnessing that championship on Saturday. Let's talk about that game against Pro Stars. It was a game that started out chippy. You guys got the goals that you needed, but leading up to that game, there had to be a lot of tension because the week before losing and the week before not getting the result, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, things have been a little bit tense and stressed. Talk about in the locker room before the game kicked off with your mates in there. What was said?
The process game, yeah, we knew what had to be done. We knew we left it, unfortunately left it to the last game of the season, and we knew that we just had to pull it together for one good result, one good performance, because quite frankly, the ones before that weren't our best. We fighting injuries, fighting suspensions, just like fighting kids going back to university in the States, just like all the other teams are. But we knew that we had to pull it together for one last collective effort, and we did what we had to do. Again, wasn't one of our best games, our last game of the season, but we put the work in earlier in the season to set ourselves up for a great way to finish.
Taylor, obviously we're going to have Philippe Valala coming on after you, who tied for the Golden Boot with the Reed of A&B. And we'll talk to him about his experience and his jubilation in winning this championship. But talk about some of the unsung heroes. I watched Nick Muth all season long, steady, solid. You knew when he was back there that hardly anything would get by him, and he was relaxed. And he was a guy that a lot of kids, I said, needed to watch when I was calling the games play-by-play to learn from. There was Nick Muth. And talk about James as well. There was a lot of guys that played their roles, and they did it quietly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about Philippe Valala just for a second, the season would not have been a success without a player with his finishing ability. He was absolutely fantastic. I can't say enough good things about him. Hal James, wow, what a player. For me, I know I mentioned that Philippe might be league MVP, but as far as team MVP goes, we couldn't have asked for a better defender fullback than Hal James. I don't ever remember a time when he got beat. And Nick, he was a rock for us back there all season. He partnered up with 2, 3, 4 different center backs, and he was the constant. He was the guy that we relied on to get the zeros at the back and just good results. Those 3 players are a very, very good foundation of what turned out to be a very good team.
One guy that I forgot to mention that was absolutely the glue in my mind all season long in that midfield was Gary Giff. And here was a guy that he would go through a brick wall for his team every time I watched him. He had the heart of a lion.
Yeah, no, Gary, his technical ability on the ball is might not be matched in the league. His ability going forward was even better. We relied on Gary a lot, and Gary certainly did a lot for the team, distributing the ball, controlling the pace of the game, and scoring some very, very important goals. The goals against Durham away was one of the biggest goals of the season.
Taylor, just before we let you go, I want to talk about League One in the first year in League One. And let's talk about a couple teams that were really breathing down your neck at the end there. The youngsters of TFC, who you witnessed, unfortunately, on the wrong end, losing at the Kia training grounds, really pulled off, I think, about 9 or 10 wins in a row at the end there, pushing you guys. Then you had Woodbridge. Woodbridge watching that game with you guys against Pro Stars, knowing that if that result didn't come your way, they had something to play for. Vaughan. A&B, talk about Sigma. This was, in my mind, some quality teams that really pushed you guys.
Oh yeah, we knew that majority of the weeks that we were having games, it wasn't an easy game. TFC side at the beginning of the season was a little bit unorganized, a little bit inexperienced, and we beat them. We were clearly the better team on the field. It was completely different the second time we played them. What a turnaround they did. Kids learned so much during the season, and they bossed us around the field the last game. They were fantastic. We got beat. We were saying at the end of the game, we got beat by a better team at during that game. A&B, the speed of A&B. How do you compete against the speed of some of the players on the team? Reed was absolutely phenomenal, and for so young, oh my goodness, that kid's got a very bright future. Sigma again, very, very similar to A&B, just very, very fast. Some players with great technical ability, very difficult to play against, as we drew them as well in the last couple weeks of the season. And Vaughan and Vaughan at the beginning of the season and Vaughan at the end of the season, they were solid. They were solid all the way through. And Woodbridge, the second game of our season, was one of the most intense. It was a battle, for sure. And then the second time we played them, again dropping points to them, splitting with them. So, I mean, the competition every week was tough, and it was great for our younger kids to experience a level like that, and hopefully they have pro contracts in their future.
Well, Taylor, it was great to see the smile on your face and to reward the great fans of Oakville Blue Devils and winning the championship in League 1 Saturday. So congratulations again, and thanks for joining us here on Red Card, and good luck, as I said to Duncan, in Quebec in the interprovincial final, my friend.
Thank you very much. Appreciate having me on, Anthony.
That is Taylor McNamara, captain of the Oakville Blue Devils. We'll take a